What kind of game is education? Training is a finite game. You do it for this long, then it's over, and you either pass or you fail. You either, for example, get your trade certificate or you don't. Whereas education, he said, is an infinite game. This is about growing and developing and becoming more capable and more of yourself as life goes on for your whole life. Education is a lifelong journey. So when we look at schooling, which one are we going to prioritize? Are we going to crush education into a finite game of training? Or are we going to make sure that training always stays as bits and pieces that we do during the course of our education? Which way round are we going to do this? And what are the consequences going to be in terms of a culture of peace? Some lovely quotes directly from James Cars about the difference, to try and really get our heads into the difference of why he says one is the finite game and one is the infinite game. To be prepared against surprise is to be trained. To be prepared for surprise is to be educated. Education discovers an increasing richness in the past because it sees what is unfinished there, whereas training regards the past as finished and the future as to be finished. Education leads towards a continuing self-discovery, whereas training leads towards a final self-definition. Am I a doctor? Am I a plumber? Or am I a human being and becoming? He goes on to say, training repeats a completed past in the future. We tell people how to do the same thing we've already figured out how to do again and again and again. Whereas education continues an unfinished past into the future. We can always innovate. We can always grow. We can always improve. And this is really interesting. He says the most critical distinction between finite and infinite games is that the rules of an infinite game must change during the course of play. Obviously, the rules during training or during a finite game like chess, you don't want to change the rules in the middle of the play. That destroys a finite game. But for infinite games, he says they must change. Why and when? They change when the players of an infinite game agree that the play is imperiled by a finite outcome that seems to be impending. That is by the victory or defeat of some of the players. So when you are in an infinite game together and you want to continue playing, you don't want anybody to win or lose, because only when everybody continues to be included, then you have that individual and communal win-win. You have sustainability. Now let's notice what our world is doing right now, just on a concrete level. We're treating, for example, economics as a finite game that can be won, and the infinite game of sustainability is the one we want to start playing so that economics doesn't kill our planet and make us extinct. So we change the rules so that nobody loses, nobody has to leave the game. It's inclusive. And so we start seeing here how this is so tied up with a culture of true peace. Finally, for now, and he's got a lot of other things to say, but I'm going to keep it contained. Lovely quote is that finite players play within boundaries, whereas infinite players play with boundaries. We can really see this when we look at progressive forms of education. What they're doing is they're playing with boundaries, and they're responding to the young people who are in that form of education, continually refining the practice in order to become more and more inclusive and more capable of seeding and nurturing that culture of peace.